When you see yourself, you gotta be yourself. What's up, guys? It's Sunday afternoon. It's 2 o'clock in the best day of the year, Championship Sunday. But we're not talking gridiron. If you do want to get some insights on the gridiron, you can hang out at that Props Network page. We've got player props for these divisional rounds. And if you want picks, I'm all over the home teams, the over and the under. And there are new videos posted for today's games. Find them on the Props Network feed. Me and Steve Clark, we do a pretty good job picking picks there for fun props. I know we liked Travis Kelce over yards last week. This week, we do like Josh Allen over rushing yards. We like a fourth quarter comeback in the Bills-Chiefs game. That seems like a fun one. And then we like Kelce receptions over 7.5. As for the other way, I think Leonard Fournette rushing yard seems okay, but we're here to talk basketball. We're here to talk hoops, and it's a really great slate. And props to the NBA. Over these past few years, they've done a better job when on days like today or Super Bowl Sunday, they will put some pretty fun matchups out on the calendar. So today they've got games running all over. I tried to spread my picks all over the map and, have it be a little time slot oriented. So I'll have a little second screen experience as I throw down on the championship games. So let's open up with the Clippers and the Thunder. I like the Clippers in this one. You can clearly see that they are 13-point favorites, and these guys played 2 nights ago. The Clippers won by exactly 14. This one's kind of funny because the line not only mirrors it, see, it's just around 13 and a half, but I think it was in LA twice. I bet it was a home and home where it was just going to be like, okay, you play in LA, then you play in Oklahoma City. And I think they played in LA, and the Thunder players are like, yo. We could just stay here. Let's hang out. We don't need to play that game in Oklahoma City. There's no fans. So let's just stay in Los Angeles a couple more days. We'll go down to Venice Beach. We'll get some tacos. We'll go to the White Man Can't Jump court. That sounds like a great day. So, I think this is a fake home game. But just given that it is the same matchup as a couple nights ago, I think the Clippers will continue their winning ways and cover the 12.5, 13-point spread. Conversely, this game is very early. It's Sunday. It's 4 o'clock for me. I'm an East Coast time. I'm a New Yorker. I'm reading the NYT, munching my bagels. This is on the West Coast. They were up late, morning Larry King. Now they got to wake up at 10 a.m., get to the stadium by 11 for a 1 p.m. tip. That's a lot of mileage for these young Thunder players. I don't want to be irresponsible, but if there's a guy who's going to get in trouble in LA, it's Shea, right? Shea, he lived there for a year. He's the coolest guy in the NBA, and we're coming off a Saturday night. So, maybe you like the veteran Clippers here. Okay, so like the Clippers here. I also like the Thunder, the under. Sorry, it's hard when it's the Thunder and the under, and you're going against the Thunder, but you're going on the under. Okay. Does Marcus Morris being out affect anything for how I would bet on the Clippers today? No, because my theory with the Clippers is Kawhi Leonard is playing at his absolute peak. I would actually look at his MVP odds at the moment, and with him at his highest level, I don't really care about Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris, he plays a little bit too much ISO ball for my liking, and I do feel a little reticent trashing Marcus Morris because I made a joke to him once, and I've not bombed that hard in my life. I was just saying hey, what's up, Marcus? It's nice to meet the better twin. He took that as disrespect against his brother. He froze, and I was with Mike, so I laughed it off. But no, Marcus Morris doesn't affect how I bet on the Clippers today because doesn't he make him being out kind of makes me like them more because, he played a lot of time under Stan Van Gundy on those 8th seed Pistons, and those teams players on those teams got a lot of bad habits. Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris in particular, they were allowed to be used like superstars. So Marcus has always enjoyed like having these isolation sets at the top of the elbow. He's the king of the 20-foot contested jumper with 12 seconds left on the shot clock. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Clippers in that one and under 221.5. So next game, what's up, Dexter? It is nice hanging out with you. I watched some of your video yesterday and it was great. I followed my own picks and I did lose a little bit of money because Donnie and I are doing some wild stuff out there, but you're doing great work. I can't wait to jump on a pod with you at some time. And hey, anytime I am down, I'm always at the battle station. So you let me know. Oh, dang, I got a zoom window up over my props network monitor. What an amateur. Okay, so next up, I'm trying to do these sequentially. I'll do Celtics Cavs. First of all, I've had some people talking trash to me about Andre Drummond. They said, oh, you guys didn't give Andre Drummond a chance in Detroit. We did. Andre Drummond, he's good enough to get you the 8th seed. I equate him to having a teenage son. There are so many things that I'm stoked about and I'm proud about, but there's a lot of knucklehead tendencies that had me scratching my head. Andre is awesome. I'm glad to see him playing at an all-star level once again. It sucks that there's no all-star game this year because the all-star game, that absence is depriving us of an extremely awkward Jeremy Grant all-star appearance. And the Eastern All-Stars, our last rotation spot goes to. All right, Jeremy, you did it. Come on, get in here. He will join Jamal McGlure in NBA All-Star infamy. But let's talk Celtics Cavs. And the Cavaliers, they're having a little bit of a rough stretch. Maybe that's a little bit COVID. Maybe that's reincorporating Kemba Walker. And you talk with any Celtics fan off the record, they don't want Kemba back. Similar to, you know how like Indiana fans are very happy right now that they love Oladipo, but you know, their guys are getting more reps. That's kind of how Boston fans feel. So in this one, you see, that's a weird, I think that's an error in the opening line. Yeah, it's Boston at 6 right now. We have the Celtics. They're kind of reeling. Like they've had some bad losses in the past few weeks. So in the past few days, including back-to-back to the 76ers. So I really expect them to bounce back at home against the Cavs team. And I think this line is actually incorrect. I know the Cavs have a really impressive showing on 2 occasions this week against the Brooklyn Nets. I know they're getting great play out of their young guards, and that I probably underestimated those guys leading up to the season, probably based on size. But in this instance, that was just a good matchup. Brooklyn had gotten rid of their best big man. They're playing a big man that is probably 4 years past his prime being kind. And now the Cavs were just, the Cavs had nothing but centers. So they were able to beat a Brooklyn Nets team that's still very much figuring out its big man rotation. And yeah, they have Drummond and Jared and Kevin Love, and there's all these young guys in that rotation as well. And even JaVale McGee's there shooting threes. But, and this isn't, Boston does have very competent bigs. They have the sort of bigs that really actually give Andre Drummond fits, like those really kind of crafty players who are going to battle him on the boards. Like, I don't know if Tristan Thompson is playing, but I know Daniel Tice is out there, and I know Robert Williams' athleticism gives him trouble. So we also know that there's just a great deal more size and in this Celtic lineup, and they're not really losing much athletically. So it being that I like the matchup for the Celtics here, I think they need the win a little bit more, and they're about due for a good performance. They are coming off rest. They're coming off some bad losses. And if I were to do a theme of the picks today, I think it is teams that need to put together a good showing and are going to do it. Celtics fit that bill. And my 4th pick does as well, as does my 3rd pick. San Antonio Spurs. They're hosting the Washington Wizards. 8:05 tip. We have the Spurs are favored by 7 points. Pull it up, Sammy C. Show me what's going on with the wonderful Props Network odd comparison tool. So I love this interface. I also love my new setup here. You notice I was a little late to the meeting today, but I'm looking at the screen without it being too distracting, Mr. Kotler. Okay, so we see the Spurs, they open at 6. They got bet to 7. And you know what? I still like them at 7. I don't think Scott Brooks is a good coach. I don't think he's an NBA head coach. I like a lot of the talent in Washington. I am flabbergasted on a daily basis that they're not more talented than they are. But ultimately, I think that's because of coaching. Like, none of Scott Brooks' Thunder teams have maximized their talent. None of these Washington teams have maximized their talent. Like, I see Bradley Beal as Ray Allen. You can't tell me that in the modern NBA, when three-pointers are the most valuable asset, that you can't build a playoff team primarily around Bradley Beal. Just giving him the shots alone would give you a better shot than what's been the case in Washington. And in this case, Thomas Bryant is out for the year with an ACL. I actually really like Thomas Bryant. When the Wizards were a punchline in last year's NBA bubble, he was showing out. So I kind of liked his rugged activity. But without him, you still have Bertans, who's a nice piece. Shouts to Ryan Anderson 2.0. You still have Russell Westbrook, who Scott Brooks is probably afraid of, and he allows him to do anything he wants. And I just think it's a mess in Washington. And if it's a mess, you have to throw the COVID in the mix, because we've seen two outcomes with COVID in sports, right? We've seen teams, they get put on pause and they're a little galvanized because there's good coaching. And that's the case with like the Browns and Stefanski being out, or the Tennessee Titans against the Bills earlier this season. But we've also seen it go the other way, where teams like the Lions don't get any COVID protections. They go without a coach and they lose 47-7. And in this instance, it's very much how you are run as a company. And coming back from this, I think the Wizards are a very poorly run company. And I'm going to stick with the public money here. I'm going to avoid my little whale tail. And I know people are hammering the Spurs, but I don't blame you. They're the most boring team in the NBA versus potentially the most dysfunctional. So yeah, stick with old, reliable San Antonio. I wish Washington was good, though. The uniforms are awesome. The talent is there, and Beal should be better. Damn it. Okay, so we have one last pick, and it's going to be pretty late. I think it's a 10 o'clock start. I think it's the Portland Trailblazers hosting the New York Knicks. I have not bet a Knicks game correctly all year. I pay close attention to them because I live in New York and Julius Randle is my spirit animal, but I can't get a feel for them. And tonight I'm going against them. I'm taking the Blazers and the 4 points. I think they can cover it. Now, what's going on with the Blazers? The Blazers lost shooting guard and podcaster CJ McCollum to an injury. He's got a broken bone in his foot, I believe. It's going to be a minute before he gets back, but they've had a lot of time to get ready. If you look at the Blazers schedule, since he's gone out, I think they last played on like Monday or Tuesday. So you're going to see them not only rested, but you're going to see them coming up with a better plan for how to come up with like a different look when they lose 30% of their offense. Yeah, they last played Monday, to which point they lost by 21 to San Antonio. That proves 2 points for me. So off this, I think it's an incredibly rested team. They know how they have to adjust, and against a more tired, probably still slightly less talented opponent, plus you have the mental factor, I think you're going to see a Blazer steady victory. Won't be a blowout. Knicks will hang, but this is a veteran, tested, professional basketball team. and they're going to have their new strategy down pat. They're going to have gotten a couple nice, crisp practices in. And Terry Stotts is someone who has a track record of making good adjustments during the season. Does seem like Portland has the worst injury luck with anyone, right? Last year, Nurkic was out with a broken leg. Now CJ McCollum's got a broken foot. They never have all their guys. So that's what I am hanging with today in the NBA, the gambling as a second screen experience. I woke up early. I got my work done. I didn't do as much studying as I like because I started cramming for this show, started throwing out bets, but I will hang here another 5 minutes if anyone has some questions they want to pull up for me about the NBA betting docket. And Sam, in the meantime, if you want to pull up those NBA MVP futures for Kawhi Leonard, I'd be interested in that. Okay, so you see how easy this tool is to use. You see how he's just buzzing about it. 6 man of the year. We got 6 man of the year odds. Luka still the favorite. Oh, they love this guy. So you see Embiid. I picked him at 40-1 before the season. I loved it, and I didn't put money on it. But you see Kawhi. Holy hell, 40-1 at BetMGM. That's great odds. And if you remember I think it was the 2017 season was when he came closest to winning the MVP. He finished third in voting. And the way that broke down is as the season went along, the statistical case, the two-way player, portfolio became so much as to be undeniable, where he entered the MVP conversation. And given the record that the Clippers are putting together, I think there is a reasonable chance that Kawhi is the centerpiece for this. Kawhi Leonard, you close your eyes. Will he have an MVP before his career ends? Yeah, of course. He's Kawhi Leonard. He's probably a top 15 guy all time. 40-1 at BetMGM. Those are phenomenal odds. Okay, so we got Gabriel Murillo coming in. Do I like SGA over 19.5? I don't know. Where was SGA last night? Do you know that? Will you tell me where he was? Were you with him? SGA over 19.5. I like SGA as a player. He learned everything from Chris Paul last year, including how to not show up in a game 7. But young guy, a flashy dresser. You don't think he had a good night last night? I don't know. That's the tough thing. Did he have a good time or not? I'm going to give him the over. You can tell that Vegas thinks he's hungover too. It's not just me. It's not just me blanketly. He averages 21.5 points a game. His over-under is 19.5. I like that SGA bet because you're literally betting on whether or not someone's hungover. I mean, you could do that if you work with my uncle, I guess. But aside from that, there's not many opportunities. And that's to do that, which is why the NBA slate on the Sundays is so fun. We're clowning around with Gabriel, and you have to learn how to enjoy sports this way because I'm a Detroit guy. Yeah, I'll put up my camera. You got Calvin and Barry hanging out on the lamp, but things are not good in my household. I feel like I'm going through a bad breakup. I feel like my Pistons team is tanking correctly, but they're still tanking, and it sucks to suck. So, yeah, I'm going to bet on Shai Gilgeous being hungover. I'm a sports fan. If he is hungover, if he plays hungover, I think, is he under 21? Citizen's arrest. Nah, you can't do that. You can't do that. Just clowning around. Well, all right. Those are my kind of insights for today. To recap, of course, we like Chiefs and Packers, money line. We like the over in the early game. We like the under in the we like the under in the early game. We like the over in the late game. But for NBA, we like the Clippers. We like the under in Clippers Thunder. We like the Celtics over the Cavaliers. And we like the Spurs over the Blazers. And we like Spurs over Wizards. I'm sorry. And then we like the Blazers over the Knicks. So yeah, it's going to be a great slate. I've got so much money on the table. And if you want to hang out with me, I'm here all the time on the Props Network. I'm here 2:00 most days, making picks, having fun. I do the Walk On Pod with Brian L. Mitchell. That's a deep dive into some subjects. But if you're watching on Twitter or elsewhere, sub on the YouTube. It all lives on the YouTube. Yeah, that's where the party is. And if you like me, I'm Joel Walkowski, the Walkowski on Twitter, Joel Walkowski on Instagram. I do have a pretty funny picks video up. Props Network ran them for a while. I'm putting them up myself. No big deal. Budget in some other places, but we had a really fun one with my fiance Gabby. There is a Bills joke that I will put in my joke writing Hall of Fame. I'm proud of that one, but it's going to be an awesome day. We're throwing down on Blazers and Celtics, and we got a few more people watching. So if you got a question, throw it here. Otherwise, this is your 2-minute warning. It's 20 degrees here, so I'm going to make myself an edible, and I'm going to walk my dog to my friend's house and sit there for 7 hours gambling hundreds of dollars of my fiance's money, because that's what you do when you're 6'3". You just trick a woman into footing the bill for you. And if you do want to parlay any of these games with the Green Bay Packers, ooh, you're confident in those Packers, are you, in the chat? We like the Pack. I hate the Packers so much, but they're going to win the Super Bowl probably. I like Celtics. I like the Boston Celtics. I like betting on the Boston Celtics. It's been the case for years. They're always at their best when they're a little fucked up. Like as soon as you notice Boston is dropping games, that's right around the time they get it together. It's Brad Stevens. I am going to assume that Brad Stevens still has his fastball and that Nick Nurse hasn't just walked off with all the NBA Eastern mojo. Vucevic over 23.5. Fournier over 16.5. How come Trae Young never gets shit for stealing Evan Fournier's haircut? People make fun of Trae Young's haircut all the time. He does not do that. This is interesting. There's actually a ton of sharp money on the Magic tonight. I see them, according to my figures, the Magic are getting 49% of the bet, but 64% of the money. So that leads me to think they will be confident in the Magic performing tonight against the Hornets at their place. The Hornets, talk about teams that's hard to get a feel for. They certainly fit that bill. But yeah, I think who's playing in the post for Charlotte? Yeah, I like the over for that. And just by virtue of Fournier getting plenty of run, I think he, like, 16.5, it's 2 points too high for my liking. And I'm going to say no, but I will say I have never liked Evan Fournier. I thought they picked him over Oladipo, and I always held that against him. It's not your fault, Evan, but your company picked the wrong employee, so I'm not going to think you're a great employee when I see the other employee making all NBA teams. So yeah, I'll do over on the Vucevic and then under on the Fournier because I hate him. If you know Evan Fournier, you can tell him. The cool thing about this is I know there's a lot of talking heads out here. I am big enough and tough enough to fight Evan Fournier. I'm a pacifist, but if you're so insulted, and you want to exchange blows, you know where to find me. I know about 6 sentences of French, so we can throw down Evan. We could have a fight in the street, and then afterwards, you can go to Barclays and I watch you joue au basket. I took a semester of French class at USC. I did not learn a single word, and the final exam came. I learned how to say my dad was a werewolf. I wore a beret. I brought a glass of wine. You don't need to be talented in this world. You just need to have a good attitude and work hard. And that's what we're doing with these NBA picks. I'll be back tomorrow if the games are interesting. If not, you got 5 of them coming from me this week. So until then, this is Joel Walkowski for the Props Network, walking off.